Hey, what is going on guys? Danny here, hope you've all been doing well. In this video, I wanted to revisit Fortnite Battle Royale on the PC again due to popular demand. I previously made a video showcasing some gameplay along with having Rivatuner statistics overlay right around when Epic Games had launched their Battle Royale mode back in September. Back then, I was using and testing the Viotech GN34C, an ultra-wide 1440p monitor. So when I posted that video, it was at a resolution of 3440 by 1440, a 21 by 9 aspect ratio resolution. The ultra-wide monitor market is quite a niche market, and I wanted to make a couple of follow-up videos with popular 16 by 9 aspect ratio resolutions like Full HD 1080p and Quad HD 1440p, as these are the resolutions most people are playing at, especially 1080p. It's also been about 7 to 8 months since the mode was launched, and Epic Games have made countless updates to the game by adding more features, weapons, items, skins, but not only that, they have further worked on optimizing the game so that more players are able to have a great playable experience. In this video specifically, I'll be focusing on the 1080p resolution, and I'll be releasing another video which will show gameplay and performance at the 1440p resolution. To give you guys a quick rundown of my system specs, I'm rocking an AMD Ryzen 7 1800X, which I've overclocked to 4GHz, paired with 16GB of G-Skill Trident Z memory clocked at 3333 MHz with a cast latency of 14. For the GPU, we have the EVGA GTX 1080 Ti SC Black Edition, which has a plus 100 MHz to the core and plus 250 MHz to the memory. For full system specifications, you guys can check the video description. For your convenience, I also have an active on-screen display so you guys can see what's going on with the hardware as I'm playing the game. Taking a look at the settings, I'm not running everything completely maxed out here. What I want to show you guys are the settings that I use to play this game which allow me to maximize performance and attain the smoothest experience. All of the settings besides shadow quality and anti-aliasing are set to epic. I completely disable shadows, and I have a few reasons for that. 1, to boost performance as much as possible, as shadows can cause the most performance degradation. And 2, I feel like shadows don't do anything except make the game look a little more prettier. In fact, I find that having shadows turned off will allow me to spot players better, hiding under objects and trees, especially at night. Anti-aliasing is set to high as it's a good compromise between visuals and performance. This is another culprit which can make your performance tank. Besides from that, VSync and motion blur are turned off as always for obvious reasons. With the settings and system specs out of the way, let's go ahead and take a look at some gameplay. Do keep in mind I am recording here with NVIDIA Share, so there will be some very slight hit to the performance. And I'll say this as well, I am in no way a great player at this game, but my skills aren't the point of this video anyways. Starting off with the spawn area, I find that performance here isn't going to be relevant at all because you'll hardly ever run into all 100 players in the match, or a very large group for that matter, if you're just playing the regular Battle Royale mode. However, in special game modes like 50 vs 50 or 5 teams of 20, I can see these stats being more important because in those game modes you're more likely to run into large groups of enemies or zergs. Now as players are in the battle bus, here we're able to see the entire map, and as you guys can see, the average frame rate here is around the mid 200s, which isn't bad at all. You'll be able to pan around the map and strategize without having to worry about any significant performance drops while getting maximum coverage. Tilted Towers is a very popular spot where a lot of players drop to. I think here you'll have the highest chance of running into a lot of players. And the performance here does reflect that. As I'm gliding towards the buildings, a lot of players are in view, and you can see the frame rate drop to the low 100s. This isn't necessarily bad in any way though. At just over 100 frames per second, you're still going to be able to experience smooth gameplay, and this shouldn't really hinder your ability to survive. Now as soon as we drop onto a building, the average frame rate goes back immediately, and now we're getting anywhere from 200 to 300 frames per second. As I'm going into the building searching for weapons, material, and items, along with encountering a few other players, performance is significantly higher than what we were getting in the initial landing. This is excellent, as this is the most relevant section to players. You're not obviously going to be fighting and building while gliding with everyone else, but rather when you're on the ground or inside structures. Then you guys can see I try to get the jump on another player, but he ends up getting a really lucky shotgun shot on me. Tilted Towers is just too chaotic for me, and I personally don't like to land in name spots as there's just way too many people running around here for my taste. I have my own personal go-to spot on the map, and that's right around the middle north section of the map where there are some isolated houses. Here I am comfortably able to land, search for items, and farm materials while not having to worry about 10 players trying to jump me. Because I find not too many players land here, and at most it'll be 2 to 3 players in the area. Do keep in mind this is solo, and in duos or squads the population here will vary. Now here I am able to achieve the highest performance. Inside the house I'm getting around 300 to 350 frames per second, which is way past my monitor's 144Hz refresh rate. As I go outside, there's a nice open field with little to no players in sight. Some of you guys might be thinking, well, that's pretty boring, but I know that I'm not the only one who prefers to take a well-calm route and make my way into wherever the circle is leading us. I'm sure there's a lot of players out there that like to travel through a vast open map and explore along the way. Performance does fluctuate quite a lot here. In some instances, the frame rate is in the high 200s, then the mid to low 200s, sometimes it goes back into the mid 300s, or sometimes even falls below 200. So again, it's fluctuating all over the place here, but it's still all very smooth. Encountering players along the way will make no impacts at all to performance. Here you guys can see this player carelessly farming some stone out in the open, which allows me to get an easy snipe. Looking at the hardware statistics, and there's a few things I want to point out here. At 1080p, even with a high-end GPU like the 1080 Ti, we're still mostly bottlenecked here by the graphics card. In open areas with less players, GPU utilization appears to be around 80%, with busy areas like tilted towers showing 50 to 65% utilization. VRAM usage at 1080p indicates that any GPU with 3GB or more should be fine for this resolution. Over at the CPU side of things, and here Thread 8 appears to be handling most of the load. Thread 8 showing the highest amount of utilization, anywhere from 80 to 90% for the most part. Any extra work seems to be offloaded to 2 more extra threads such as Thread 6 and 9 at 50% load here, with the rest doing little to no work. What this tells us is that the game is dominantly single-threaded, and as long as you have at least a quad-core with good single-core performance, you should have no problems in the CPU department. With the game running majority of the time, total system memory seems to be hovering over 6GB, so 8GB of system memory should be the minimum for this game, but having 16GB definitely gives you a lot of headroom here. So overall, performance at 1080p with these settings and system specifications is absolutely great. Almost all the time I am able to attain an average frame rate well above my monitor's refresh rate. The frame times are also very consistent. Therefore, I can play Fortnite Battle Royale at 1080p and have a buttery smooth experience. But I will be making another video just like this one, except I'll be testing at 1440p, as I feel that is a more appropriate resolution to play at with a system like mine. I don't know, I find it kind of weird that someone would have a processor and especially a GPU like the 1080 Ti and choose to play at 1080p, but I digress. Well guys, if you enjoyed this video and found it informative, then hit that like button. Let me know your questions, thoughts down below. If you want to support my channel, check out the links in the video description, and if you're interested in more content like this, then make sure you're subscribed. Thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.